Ya es obvio. No creo que lo hagan. Sería estúpido, creo. A sabiendas de lo que es el Warrior of Light. Pero según la reacción de la amiga esta, siento que van a intentar matarme.
This is my home. Our home. At least it was until that night. I was with Lord Quintus when the capital fell, and thus spared. My family, who did not own a radio, were less fortunate. When dawn came, I made my way here. My parents, my little brother and sister, they were still inside. But they weren't themselves, and they tried to. My hat. I'd promised to take them away from the capital that very morning, to somewhere safe, to hide until the fighting stopped. I promised. The Garlean flag bears a chain, the bonds between our countrymen. A red link at its center, the blood of the fallen. Our loved ones who lived and died for Garlemald.
It's no use.
Believe me, I do not enjoy being here any more than you. But he wanted us to play along, so that is what we will do.
It's so cold.
Painfully so. Unbearably.
I've been thinking about what Quintus said. About why no one would accept Garlean rule. Irreconcilable differences. When coexistence isn't an option, only conquest remains. Varus at Gimlet said much the same. Only by uniting the world beneath a single standard would we rid ourselves of the Hacians. United as one people, one race cleansed of imperfections. A cold and unforgiving vision. And when we fail to live up to their standards, what place is there for us in their world? But the truly sad, truly frustrating thing is how damnably similar it all is to the lofty ideals of Father and the Forum. Non-intervention. Always non-intervention. Protect our knowledge and our people, and to hells with the rest of you. And yet, I can see how it happened. Varus and Father looked to their elders for guidance and took their virtues as their own. But for this world was of their making. In who else could they place their trust? All of us lost in a sea of chaos, searching desperately for purpose and meaning. But it shouldn't just be an extension of another's. It has to be ours. It has to be. We all have a stake in this world. No one should be silenced.
Perhaps they've come to see the world as a series of problems, and the most efficient way of solving them, to reduce everything to fundamental forms. A stone is a stone, a cloud, a flower, no more than that. Simple descriptions that strip the subject of distinguishing characteristics. A man is a man, divided according to race, creed, or allegiance, and to some, defined by such associations.
All of our supplies and an immediate withdrawal. These are your conditions.
Demands. And you forgot about the airship. Once again, you will leave one behind. It will be used to return the prisoners. Their collars will be removed prior to the exchange.
So in the end, not even Father's expertly worded rhetoric could deter you from your chosen course.
Huh?
Not that I thought for a moment that it would. I've no love for violence, of course, but ours is a cause worth fighting for. I just wish he'd realize it too. Sometimes the only way to protect the ones you love is to take a stand, to refuse to suffer in silence. I want you to know I share your conviction. Whether it be on the battlefield or in the debating chamber, I won't back down. I guess what I'm saying is...
You've found your own reason to fight.
There'll always be naysayers. Those who think us fools for even trying. It's easy for learned elites to criticize earnest efforts and assert their moral superiority, all without offering alternatives. Not that their sophistry has ever wounded you. So stubborn and strong. Stronger than you even know. Don't ever change, you hear me? If you stumble, I'll be there to catch you. Or give you a thick ear. Maybe both, for good measure.
Thank you, Alice.
The scouts have secured Alice and Alphino. Their collars were removed without complication as well. They report no casualties, not for their party nor the guards, who will wake from their premature slumber in due course.
It would appear the situation has changed. I propose new terms. We have information that will be of great interest to Lord Quintus, and I wish to speak with him in person.
No. In the event you rejected our first proposal, we came prepared with a second.
Ambush!
More are coming! Make ready!
We, the loyal soldiers of the First Legion, proud servants of Garlemald, of the fallen Emperor Varys, shall safeguard these lands from the barbarian hordes until our countrymen return!
Stop! Both of you!
Arun.
This child may be the worst emissary I have ever seen.
We received an urgent communication from the Grand Company of Eorzea. Envoys from the Imperial Army, led by members of the 10th Legion, came to Alamigo and requested an audience. They explained that their efforts to coordinate the reclamation of the capital with the aid of the 4th, 5th, 8th, and 12th had ended in failure. Communication between most legions has broken down entirely. Most of the 10th's conscripts have deserted, leaving their forces severely depleted. That is why, unable to continue the fight on their own, they and their allies turned to the Grand Company of Eorzea for aid.
Lies! Every word!
It is the truth, and I have not finished. The 10th has requested that we deliver a message to Lord Quintus. Have the ill stand down.
You have been listening, my lord? What are your orders?
Inform her that we will honor the 10th's decision. I take solace, Your Radiance, in the knowledge you are not here to witness our debasement. 'Twas a grand, glorious dream we shared. Of a world united, of peace and prosperity. We are ghosts, you and I, memories of days gone by. Bonds forged in blood that I will not see tarnished.
Quickly! We have to reach the station before it's too late.
If there is still a chance that Quintus will agree to a truce, we must take it.
I just hope we get there before he and his men do something rash.
Ok, hasta el momento ese ha sido el peor login. Una de las cosas que hago usualmente cuando estoy intentando loguear en esta semana de desastres es pues básicamente intentar loguear, ¿no? Y todos saben las horas. Ese es... ¿Qué es? ¿El tercer, cuarto día desde la expansión? Y... y pues pongo a loguear el juego, ¿no? Lo que tú quieras. Y como sé que puede tardar y puede sacarme y tengo que volver a la cola desde el principio otra vez, básicamente. Me desconectó como 4 veces intentando. Donde empezaba en 7000, bajaba a 5000 y entonces me sacaba. Eso fueron 3 o 4 veces. Y entonces mientras estoy esperando por la cola que me deje entrar, me pongo a jugar Monster Hunter Rise. Y fue tanto tiempo el que tuve que esperar para entrar, que la única razón por la que me di cuenta es porque se me acabó se le estaba acabando la pila al Switch. Entonces dije, oh, se le va a acabar la pila. Y volteo y estoy adentro. Entonces no tengo idea de en qué momento entré, de qué momento me dejó loguearme. Pero fue lo suficiente como para que bajarle toda la pila al Switch. Wow. Yo creo que si no se me fuera a haber acabado la pila del Switch, no me hubiera dado cuenta que entraron y me hubiera desconectado por inactividad. Pero bueno, volvamos a la MSQ. Ok, parece que la última vez que deslogueé fue un buen momento porque several cutscenes están a punto de pasar. La música de It's Over me recuerda a Final Fantasy VIII. No es que sea la misma música, pero el tono, más que nada, el tipo de melodía que son me recuerda a la música de Final Fantasy VIII.
Here. At ease, man. There's nothing funny in it. I'm from Alamigo, but was a conscript until recently. Used to eat this with the officers.
Apparently, it's adapted from a steppe recipe. This is my first time trying it, and I have to say, it's not half bad.
It's a bit too flavorful for my liking.
Perhaps compared to what you're used to.
Sí. No tienen muchas especias en... No sé, es que no pueden agarrar muchas especies del bosque en Gridani.
I know this is not a dream, and yet... I felt the same way at the Dragon Song War's end. Every morning I would step outside and need to be reminded that it wasn't my imagination, that my world had been forever changed. And just as I had grown accustomed to the idea, again you change my world in ways I never thought possible. Were it not for you and your fellow scions, the rifts between man and dragon and myriad tribes might never have been bridged. The Grand Company of Eorzea, the Ilsabard contingent, we owe it all to you. We've shed many tears in recent days, of pain and sorrow, triumph and joy. I much prefer the latter.
It is a remarkable achievement. Everything that I and the Populares had hoped for, and more.
Would that it had come sooner.
Indeed. Too many are not here to see it. And yet, there is a warmth in my breast, as if they still share in this moment.
On behalf of the Gallian Empire, thank you for inviting me today.
What? Emperor Varus?
No estaban cerca del radio.
They are being tempered. The talismans. Quickly!
Save me, brave hero!
Fandy.
My lord has requested your presence, and I would hate to disappoint him.
Siempre pudieron hacer eso. Bueno, el Idibus les prohibía muchas cosas a los Hacians. Entre el Idibus, la Jabrea y Emetzelk les prohibían muchas cosas a los Hacians.
The experiment was a success, but I fear our time is short. I shall begin the preparations.
Vamos, Sinos.
Good morrow to you. Here, have a taste before it gets cold. Oh, but be sure to remove your helmet. Take a moment, too, to familiarize yourself with that borrowed flesh. So, how does it feel? I, for one, find those first moments within a new body to be most refreshing. We had a Magitech engineer by the name of Aulus to thank for this method of soul extraction and implantation.
Implantation.
I believe the two of you met briefly in Alamigo.
Sí, lo matamos
His was a
técnicamente.
rather sticky end, wasn't it? Thankfully, he was thoughtful enough to leave behind his mind-jack technology. I took the liberty of making some improvements and selecting you as my esteemed test subject. Oh my! Daddy is pleased his grumpy little boy has finally found his playmate.
Es Varys.
Ah, exposition is in order. The Gallian Empire has long outlawed all forms of religion. No gods to worship, no risk of summoning. Brilliantly simple. But people being people must turn to something or someone in their hour of
Entonces lo
need.
que estaba diciendo. Los Garlean no tienen fe,
Why, His Radiance the Emperor, of
pero
course.
su fe, vaya redundancia, en el emperador es fanática, básicamente.
As you have observed firsthand, Garlemald has seen better days. The legendary Solus Zosgalvus, dead. Provinces near and far in open rebellion. Our bold new emperor assassinated. And that last one even sparked a civil war. What rotten luck. The people cried out for salvation. Their earnest pleas, one might even call them prayers, a supplication united for the Empire to reclaim her former glory. And so their will did manifest, channeled through the corpse of none other than Emperor Varus himself.
Oh, wow.
And lo, the Savior was born, the embodiment of the Gallian spirit. Their
Anima. Wow, en Final Fantasy. Bueno, mejor no. Spoilers no, de los otros Final Fantasy. Pero, ok, veo la relación con el ánimo
calls to
original.
its subjects, compelling them to take up arms and fight.
Perhaps you think that to be the extent of my promise. I have no doubt fallen in your estimation since Alamigo. Fair enough. But do not let your disdain deprive us, of an opportunity to craft an even more majestic moment of euphoria. I have been honing my craft as I set the stage for our reunion. Wheresoever there is suffering and despair, you appear to fulfill your duty as defender of this star. The chaos and destruction that my hordes have wrought are my gifts to you alone.
Sí, entiendo lo que quieres hacer. Básicamente está preparando para pelear. Es básicamente lo mismo que hizo en Stormblood. Es lo mismo que hizo en Alamigo, en Doma.
While my lifeless body was in the possession of the hacia, I too claimed another's as my own. It was an enlightening experience to fight in an unfamiliar form. Flaws and failings in my technique were plain to see. Whence rises one's true strength? The flesh? The soul? Perhaps you should like to discover the answer for yourself. Or together.
Se hizo lo que creo que hizo. Sí, se pasó al cuerpo.
Oh dear! Whatever would happen if my lord were to greet your friends as you? I shudder to imagine what carnage he would wreak. We'd better hurry if we want to avert the bloodbath. You can thank me later for my generosity.